The story begins in a jungle with a team of hunters who had killed many animals. These hunters used to hunt animals, skin them, and sell the hides in the city. They tied up the hides and were just about to leave when suddenly a group of jungle tribespeople attacked them and surrounded them from all sides. The tribespeople were extremely angry and started raining arrows on them, killing many members of the hunting team. The tribe attacked because their chief's daughter had been kidnapped, and the tribespeople believed that these hunters were responsible. The hunters tried to fight back, but the tribespeople were far greater in number, so the hunters could not stand against them, and many of them were killed. Now the captain of the hunting team understood that if they continued fighting the tribespeople, they would all be killed. So he told his team to pick up as many hides as they could and rush to the boat. At this point, the movie's main character, Glass, comes to his son and tells him to quickly get to the boat. Just then, they see another large group of tribespeople approaching. Realizing this, they stop fighting and start running toward the boat to save their lives. During this escape, many more hunters are killed. Only a few manage to reach the boat and escape. After they leave, the tribespeople take control of all the remaining hides left behind by the hunters. The tribal chief still does not find his daughter there. He then tells his people to collect all the hides left by the American hunters. He says they will give these hides to French hunters in exchange for horses and guns, and they will continue searching for his daughter until she is found. On the other side, even after traveling a long distance, the American hunters remain frightened and keep their guns ready, because they know the tribespeople will not give up the chase so easily and could attack them at any moment. Now they are unsure which direction they should go. The captain asks Glass what they should do. Glass says they should abandon the boat and travel by land, because the tribespeople will follow the river and reach them quickly. Therefore, traveling by land is the safest option. However, one man in the group named Fitzgerald does not agree with Glass's decision. He says that if they go by land, they will be killed sooner because the land route is very long and it will take them many weeks to get home. But the captain tells Fitzgerald that Glass knows this area better than anyone else, so they should follow his advice. Eventually, they decide to travel by land. Fitzgerald also accepts the captain's decision, though some people still believe Glass's plan is wrong. Because of this, a few men decide to go home by boat through the river. Those who choose the land route get off the boat, while some continue onward by river. The captain then tells everyone that they should leave all the hides behind, so they do not face any trouble on the way. Everyone agrees, and they hide all the hides under rocks, hoping that if they ever return to this place in the future, they will find them again. After that, they all begin walking through the jungle. However, their difficulties are about to increase, because winter is approaching, and they must walk for many weeks to reach home. They have no other option, so they prepare themselves to face the cold. While walking through the jungle, evening arrives, and they decide to stop and spend the night there. Soon night falls, and they all fall asleep in the jungle. The next morning, we see that the people who believed Glass's decision to travel by land was wrong now regret their choice. The tribespeople come and kill them. The tribespeople also realize that some men have escaped through the jungle on foot, so they spread out across the forest to search for the remaining American hunters. One of the tribespeople finds footprints of the hunters traveling by land and reports this to the tribal chief. The chief believes that his daughter is with them, so the tribespeople begin following the footprints. Meanwhile, the hunters continue walking for many hours through the jungle and become extremely tired. They stop to rest and set up camp. Everyone is hungry, but there is no food. So Glass goes alone into the jungle to look for prey. After walking some distance, he senses that someone is nearby. He raises his gun and gets ready, and then he sees two bear cubs in front of him. Before Glass can leave, a large bear attacks him, knocking the gun from his hands. The bear repeatedly slams Glass to the ground and severely injures him. Now Glass can do nothing, so he lies still on the ground. When Glass becomes quiet, the bear starts to leave, but Glass somehow reaches his gun in an attempt to get food. At that moment, the bear returns to attack him again. Glass quickly shoots the bear, but the bullet hits its neck instead of its head. This only enrages the bear further, and it slashes Glass's throat with its claws. The bear does not stop and brutally tears into Glass's entire body. Because of the gunshot wound, the bear also becomes weak. Glass somehow pulls out his knife and stabs the bear multiple times. Both of them roll down a slope and fall together, after which the bear collapses on top of Glass. The bear is dead, but Glass is almost dead as well, because the bear has completely torn his throat and his body is covered in deep wounds. Glass is in immense pain. When Glass fired the shot, his companions heard the sound of gunfire. They begin searching for him and eventually reach the spot, where they see Glass lying beneath the bear. The bear is lying dead. With great difficulty, they remove the bear from on top of Glass and carry him with them. One of the men begins stitching Glass's wounds. Glass is in terrible agony from the pain. His throat has been badly torn, and his entire body is covered with deep wounds. Seeing the condition of his injuries, they realize that Glass will not survive and that he will die within a few hours. On the other side, the tribal chief gives the remaining hides taken from the American hunters to the French hunters. In return, he receives guns and horses. This means even greater trouble for the American hunters, Glass and his companions. Because earlier the tribespeople attacked only with bows and arrows, but now they also have horses and guns. Because Glass is so badly injured, he cannot walk. So the men make a wooden stretcher for him, place him on it, and begin moving forward. They take turns carrying Glass and manage to bring him a long distance. However, the road ahead is extremely difficult because there is a high mountain they must cross. The mountain path is so rough that even a single man cannot climb it properly, making it impossible to carry Glass up. They still try, but they fail. At that point, the captain tells one of the men to place a cloth over Glass's face. In reality, the captain is about to shoot Glass because he believes Glass is suffering and will not survive anyway. Glass is writhing in pain, and taking him home seems almost impossible. Just as the captain is about to kill Glass, Glass's son steps forward and says, "Don't do it." The captain feels pity and cannot shoot Glass because it is because of Glass that they are all still alive. The captain then tells everyone that whichever two men stay with Glass until he dies will be paid $100 when they return to the village. He says that Glass helped all of them, and he wants Glass to die a natural death. After Glass dies, those two men should perform his funeral and then return. Glass's son immediately says that he will stay. Another young man named Fraser also says that he will stay, even if he does not get the money. Since Glass's son Hawk and Fraser are both young, the captain says that one more man should stay with him. At this point, Fitzgerald steps forward and says that he will stay, but $100 is too little. The captain agrees to pay him. Then Glass's son and the other boys say that Fitzgerald can also take their money. Hearing this, Fitzgerald says that $300 is enough. That is enough for him to buy a house. He adds that it is only a matter of 2 or 3 days, because Glass will not survive longer than that. Fitzgerald then agrees to stay with them. Now these 3 men stay behind with Glass, while the rest move on. Fitzgerald sits near Glass and waits for him to die. But Glass simply refuses to die. The next day, Glass's son and the other boy go out to hunt for food and fetch drinking water. Meanwhile, Fitzgerald starts digging a pit nearby. But why is Fitzgerald doing this? Is he planning to bury Glass alive? We will find out later. Several more hours pass, and when Fitzgerald sees that Glass is still not dead, he angrily approaches him and says, "Why don't you die?" He says that because of Glass, all of them will be killed, because the tribespeople are still searching for them like madmen. If the tribespeople arrive, they will kill everyone. He says that Glass can save his son's life and everyone else's by giving up his own life. Fitzgerald then tells Glass that if he blinks his eyes, he will understand that Glass is ready to die. Glass desperately tries not to blink. But then Fitzgerald says that it seems Glass does not even want to save his son. Hearing this, Glass blinks his eyes to save his son. Seeing this, Fitzgerald stuffs a cloth into Glass's mouth and cuts off his breathing. Glass begins to suffocate and is about to die. Just then, Glass's son arrives and pushes Fitzgerald back with his gun. He points the gun at Fitzgerald and threatens to kill him. Fitzgerald tries to explain why he was doing this, but Glass's son does not listen and starts shouting. In response, Fitzgerald stabs Glass's son in the stomach, right in front of Glass, killing him. Glass's throat is completely torn, so he cannot even scream. He can only watch his son die. Fitzgerald then picks up the boy's body and hides it somewhere far away, so that when the third boy returns, he will not see it. After some time, when the other boy returns, he asks Fitzgerald where Hawk is. Fitzgerald tells him that Hawk must be nearby and will return soon. Glass desperately tries to tell the boy, whose name is Bridger, that Fitzgerald has killed his son, but he cannot speak because no sound can come out of his mouth. Night falls, and Fitzgerald and Bridger go to sleep. The next morning, Fitzgerald wakes Bridger and lies to him, saying that he saw about 20 tribesmen approaching them rapidly from a short distance away. He says that if they reach them, they will tear them to pieces. Hearing this, Bridger becomes frightened and asks what will happen to Glass and his son Hawk if they leave. Fitzgerald replies that if Hawk is alive, he will find them. Bridger then says that Glass is still alive and that they promise the captain They will perform Glass's funeral properly after he died. Hearing this, Fitzgerald grabs Glass by the legs and drags him violently. Glass's body is full of wounds, and he screams in pain. Fitzgerald then throws Glass alive into the pit he had dug the previous day and begins covering him with soil. Bridger asks, "What are you doing?" Fitzgerald replies that today or tomorrow, Glass will die anyway, and since they promised to give him a proper burial, he says he has fulfilled that promise. He throws some more soil on Glass and leaves, telling Bridger to come with him. Bridger feels terrible about what has happened to Glass. He apologizes, saying, "Sorry, Mr. Glass, I have to go," and leaves a bottle of water near Glass before departing. Now Glass is completely alone. He is writhing in pain. For many hours, he lies half dead in the same place where he was buried. He thinks that if he is going to die lying there anyway, he might as well try to survive. Gathering all his strength, he moves his arms and legs and, after enduring immense pain, manages to crawl out of the grave. Glass is in terrible agony. He crawls straight to the place where his son's body lies. Seeing his son's corpse, he is completely broken and filled with a burning desire for revenge. He places his head on his son's body and falls asleep. On the other side, when morning comes, Fitzgerald wakes Bridger and says, "Get up, quickly. We have to leave. 12 tribesmen are following us." Hearing this, Bridger says, "You told me there were 20 men after us." He realizes that Fitzgerald lied to him and points his gun at Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald then says that Bridger should be thanking him. He says that he saved Bridger's life and that it was necessary to scare him because they could not risk their lives for a half-dead man. He adds that Glass was going to die anyway, and if Bridger wants to survive, he should do exactly as Fitzgerald says. Otherwise, he can stay alone with Glass. You can go back. Hearing this, Bridger becomes terrified and agrees to do what Fitzgerald says, moving forward with him. On the other side, Glass remains in the same place. Now he feels hungry. Crawling along, he reaches a spot where the skull of an animal is lying. He breaks off a bone and eats the dried meat still stuck to it. Then he crawls to the edge of a hill, where he sees a river flowing below. Glass is now extremely thirsty as well. With great difficulty, he crawls down to the riverbank and starts drinking water. But as he drinks, the water flows out through his neck because his throat is torn open. Now Glass realizes that the first thing he must do is treat his wounds. He has a little gunpowder left. He gathers some dry grass and lights a fire. Then he pours a small amount of gunpowder onto the torn part of his neck. He takes a burning stick and presses it against his neck, igniting the gunpowder. The spark burns his flesh. He does this so that the heat will cauterize the open wound and seal it. During this, Glass is in unbearable pain and eventually passes out. After that, Glass stays near the river for many days. He survives by drinking water and eating the meat of dead animals. One day, members of the tribal people arrive near the river. Before they can see him, Glass quickly jumps into the river and swims far away from them. After being in the icy cold water for so long, Glass is badly affected by the cold. With great difficulty, he lights a fire to warm his body and decides to stay there. Many days pass while Glass stays in that place. His wounds begin to heal, and he is able to walk a little. Being near the river, he has no shortage of water, but finding enough food is very difficult. He catches fish in the river and eats them raw to survive. One night, while he is sleeping, he sees flames from a fire. When he goes toward it, he finds a man who has killed a large animal and is eating it. Glass approaches him, and as soon as the man sees Glass, he aims his bow and arrow at him. Glass gestures to show that he is not a threat and only wants food. The man understands and gives Glass a piece of meat to eat. Both of them then sleep there through the night. In the morning, when the man sees Glass's wounds, he asks what happened to him. Glass tells him that he was hunting with his team, that a wild bear did this to him, that his companions left him in the forest to die, and that they also killed his son. Hearing this, the man feels great sorrow for Glass. He says that his own entire family was killed by French hunters. Saying this, the man becomes very emotional. However, he adds that he does not want to take revenge on the French, because revenge belongs to God. Seeing Glass's condition, the man tells him that he can travel with him. After that, the two of them continue their journey together on a horse. On the other side, Fitzgerald and Bridger reach close to their village. Before entering, Fitzgerald tells Bridger that no one should ever find out about what they did. He says that if the truth comes out, the captain will have them hanged. Forced by fear, Bridger agrees. Now Fitzgerald and the boy go to the captain. Fitzgerald tells him that they stayed with Glass until his final breath, buried him properly with full rites, and that Glass's son was captured by the tribespeople while they barely escaped with their lives. Hearing this, the captain gives them $100 each, as promised, but the boy leaves without taking the money. Fitzgerald picks up the boy's share as well, and says that the boy is traumatized by what happened during the journey, which is why he is acting this way. Then Fitzgerald leaves. Meanwhile, Glass continues traveling through the snow with that man. Suddenly, a snowstorm begins. Glass is sick, his wounds are infected, and he passes out. The man builds a small wooden shelter for Glass, removes his clothes, places him inside, covers him from all sides, and lights a fire in front to keep him warm. The night passes like this. The next morning, when Glass wakes up, he looks around but cannot find a man anywhere. When he moves a little further, he sees that someone has hanged a man from a tree. Nearby, Glass also sees French hunters. He understands that these people are the ones who killed the man. Glass reaches their horses and sees a French hunter raping a girl. That girl is none other than the tribal chief's daughter. In fact, these are the same French hunters with whom the tribal chief exchanged hides for horses and guns, and these are the very French hunters who kidnapped his daughter. But the chief believed that the American hunters had taken her. Glass quietly comes from behind and kills the man who was assaulting the girl, then frees her. Acting cleverly, Glass mounts one horse, cuts the rope to the others, and fires his gun, causing all the horses to run away. Without horses, the French hunters are unable to chase him. However, while escaping, Glass drops his water bottle there. After fleeing, Glass spends the night under a tree. In the morning, he sees that the tribespeople are approaching him. He quickly mounts his horse and starts running, but the tribespeople are very close. He shoots and kills one or two of them and urges the horse to run faster. While fleeing, he reaches a mountain with a deep ravine below. Glass cannot stop. If he does, the tribespeople will kill him, so he rides straight off the cliff with the horse. He crashes through a tree and falls onto thick snow below. The horse dies after falling onto rocks, but Glass survives because he hits the tree first and then lands on the snow. Still, his condition becomes very bad. A fierce storm arrives and the cold intensifies. If Glass does not find warmth, he will freeze to death. To survive the cold, Glass cuts open a horse's belly, removes its insides, and crawls inside to sleep, knowing that if he stays outside, he will die from the cold. He somehow spends the entire night inside the horse's carcass. In the morning, he sees that the weather has become normal again, and once more he continues his journey. On the other side, we see that at the place Glass is heading toward, a French hunter arrives and asks the American hunters for help. They bring him inside. The captain asks him what happened. The man says that someone came, killed their captain, and then freed all their horses. He is actually talking about Glass. The man who was assaulting the tribal chief's daughter was the French hunter's captain. The man explains that after the horses were released, their entire group scattered. Because of the cold, some of them died, and others were killed by the tribespeople. As proof, he shows some belongings of his companions and then holds up a water bottle, saying that the man who killed their captain dropped his bottle while escaping. It is the same bottle that Bridger had left with Glass. Bridger says, "That's Glass's bottle, the one I gave him." Now they asked the man what Glass did to her. They asked the man where the captain was killed, and he tells them the location, about 30 miles away. After that, Captain Razor and a few men set out on horseback to search for Glass. At this point, Fitzgerald realizes that he is about to be exposed. After several hours of traveling, night falls, and they reach the place where the water bottle was found. The captain tells his men to spread out and search for Glass. Just then, they see a man in the distance. When they approach him, they realize that it is none other than Glass himself. Seeing Glass alive, the captain is completely shocked, because Fitzgerald had claimed that Glass was dead. The captain goes to Glass and asks him what happened. Glass then tells him the entire truth. After hearing this, the captain rushes back to the village to capture Fitzgerald and searches for him. But Fitzgerald has already stolen all the money from a vault and escaped. In anger, the captain strikes Bridger and orders his men to arrest him. However, Glass tells the captain that Bridger is not at fault. He says that Bridger knew nothing about what happened there, so he should be let go. The captain accepts this. Now the captain decides that he will go after Fitzgerald himself, because Fitzgerald murdered Glass's son and also stole the money. Glass says that he will go too. The captain tells him that he still needs rest and that he will go alone and kill Fitzgerald. But Glass insists, saying that he has traveled a very long distance for this and that only he will kill Fitzgerald. In the end, the captain agrees, and the two of them set out on horseback to hunt Fitzgerald. They follow the hoof prints of Fitzgerald's horse. After traveling a long distance, they split up. The captain tells Glass to go to the right, while he takes the left path. They separate. While the captain is searching for Fitzgerald, Fitzgerald suddenly appears from behind a large rock, points a gun at him, and asks what the captain is doing there. The captain tells him that he is accused of murder and must come with him. Fitzgerald refuses. As the captain reaches for his gun to shoot Fitzgerald, Fitzgerald shoots first, killing the captain. Hearing the gunshot, Glass rushes to the scene and finds the captain's dead body lying there, while Fitzgerald has already fled. Thinking cleverly, Glass breaks off a large wooden branch and straps it to the captain's back to keep it straight. He then places the captain's body on a horse and himself lies flat on another horse behind it, pretending to be a dead body. This way, Fitzgerald will think that the rider in front is Glass, and the body behind is the captain's corpse. Seeing the horses from a distance, Fitzgerald believes exactly that the man in front is Glass and the one lying behind is the captain's dead body. He shoots at the man in front, and when the rider falls, Fitzgerald becomes happy, thinking that Glass is now dead too. He slowly approaches the body. When Fitzgerald reaches the body and turns it over, he realizes that it is not Glass but the captain. Before he can react, Glass rises on the horse behind and shoots Fitzgerald. The bullet hits Fitzgerald in the shoulder, and he runs away. Glass chases him, and during the pursuit they reach a riverbank, where a fierce fight breaks out between the two. Both men badly injure each other. Then they see members of the tribal people appearing on the other side of the river, the same tribe that wants to kill them. Just as Glass is about to kill Fitzgerald, he remembers the man who once gave him food and was later hanged by the French. That man had told Glass that instead of taking revenge on someone who has done wrong, one should leave justice to God. Because of this, Glass lets Fitzgerald go and releases him into the river. Fitzgerald is carried by the current to the other side, where the tribespeople capture and kill him. The tribespeople then cross the river toward Glass, but they do not harm him. Instead, they leave him alone and go away. In fact, the tribal chief has found his daughter, the same girl whom Glass once saved from being raped by the French hunters. She tells her father that Glass saved her life, and that is why the tribespeople spare him and leave him there. With this, the story comes to an end. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to like the video.